Well. Welcome to my second attempt at doing this episode of Kamen Rider Gotchard. I was doing this episode a little bit earlier, but as it turns out, my audio wasn't working the entire time. I did not find out until the comment section. So here we are, 30 minutes later, doing it all over again. We're gonna do it faster this time. But welcome to the Writer Time podcast. I'm Mike, your host, and we're discussing Kamen Rider Gotchard episode 36. No, sorry, 35. Gorgeous time, legend never ends. And this is a redo. Because I had a lot to say about this episode. And at the same time, absolutely nothing to say, but y'all can't hear me, so I'm gonna say it all over again. Maybe this time I'll be quicker and I'll be more concise, and let's try to make this all work out. So here we go. Okay, the first thing I gotta say is, what is the deal with Kamen Rider Zane? He just randomly shows up in that one episode, and nothing happens. Like, he just never makes a cameo again. I know that recently Outsiders episode 5 came out. Did not watch it. What I do know is that their satellite teams up with ArcNet in order to become Kamen Rider 03, and I do appreciate the design is a reference to Kamen Rider V3, and yes, you could get the 03 Progrise set on Bandai Premium, because don't say no, just buy more. But other than promoting the Outsiders, what is he even there for? What is Legend even there for? What is anyone, anything, anywhere even there for? First thing I gotta say is, at this point in time, they may as well just make, they should either make Outsiders the main series instead of Gotchard. They should make Legendary the main series instead of Gotchard. DTFC may as well make 13 episodes of Outsiders because one, it broke the mold on having only 4 episodes, but also there's a lot going on there. And why bleed it over to Gotchard when it's so self-contained that making any kind of reference to it is seemingly pointless? Even in Kaguya's battle against the Handred member in this episode, he just uses 01 a lot, to which I have to say, why? Like you're just doing this to promote Outsiders. Why not just make a series centering around Outsiders or Legend or both? Make a series that combines Legend and Outsiders as the main series. You could have Kamen Rider Zane be like an evil heroic rider who has to fight all these other evil returning riders, and then just have Kamen Rider Legend, a nomadic prince, fight against them and try to uncover the mystery behind Zane, and two of them become arch rivals, and so on and so forth. Then you have all these returning characters coming back, because Kamen Rider Decade had a bunch of returning characters. Kamen Rider GO had a bunch of returning characters. And as I said in the original version of this podcast entry, which you guys cannot hear, GO had more cameos from the original cast than Decade did, because Decade you only had 2 actors, technically 3, from Kamen Rider Kiva. You have returning actors from Hibiki and from Deno, and that's it. There's no returning characters from Kabuto, no returning characters from Agito, from Ryuki, Blade, Faiz, Agito. Wait, I already mentioned Agito. Kuga. Like, why? But here, it's like, we got returning characters from Force, Xaid, Build, freaking Hibiki, Kiva. We even got Gattack and Punch Hopper coming back from Kamen Rider Kabuto. That's how good Geo was in terms of returning characters. And as I've mentioned 7-8 months ago in Kamen Rider Geats, you could very well have made a Sakura become a recurring character in Geats, because he shows up multiple times in extracurricular content such as the Winter film and one of the hyper battle videos. So like they could have, so as I said before, in that alternate world where all these prisoners escape and start rioting, and freaking Kawa's sister dies a second time, like instantly as soon as she's reborn. You got like you could have had a Sakura be one of the prisoners that escaped, and then have like this DGP version of Kamen Rider Oja, where it's like you still have the main Oja helmet, but in a DGP suit, and you could use the Oja raise buckle in order to get his old armor back. But like, imagine one, like, out of all these DGP contestants, one of them's a serial killer who can travel through mirrors. That's a tough one, even for geeks. That would have been a great cameo. So, given all that, that's what we could have ended up with. Freaking Gotchard, it's stagnant. There's no character development here at all. It's like, and yeah, like I said in the original Do, we could have I could easily summarize the whole plot, and there's very little to summarize. Freaking, there's a quick fight between Kaguya and Hotaro. Then Kaguya is attacked by a revived Handred member, becoming Arc 1 instead of Arc 0 this time. And then Gigas Hutren, who disappeared for 4 episodes, merges him with 4 chemis: Megalodon, Ammonite, Zombie, and Meteorite. By the way, great costume design. I love how the amalgam hands form the cross like they usually do, but this time it has the whole Arc 1 aesthetic. I like that design. So, of course, Kaguya fights at first. He struggles. They retreat. They have a heart-to-heart. He wants to go alone. Hotaro joins them. Then the two of them team up with Platinum Gotchard teaming up with Legendary Legend, who reveals he has new powers where he could summon multiple forms of the same character. So instead of being Decade Complete, where he just summons the final form of another person and they just copy his movements, you got 3 forms that act independently. So you got Gorgeous 02 with Metal Cluster and Rising Hopper, and they act independently of one another, which is cool to see. But it's one of the only 2 forms we see this happen with. The other one being Kamen Rider Geo Grand, Geo 2, and Base Geo. Here's my issue with this. This is the 5th season of the Reiwa era. You could have done more to capitalize on the fact that we have this amazing 4 seasons before Gotchard. So he could have done a thing where he's Geats Mark 9, Mach 2, and Magnum. That he could have been Revice, where he's Gifford Rex, Barrett Rex, basic Rex. Then he could have went back to Saber, where he becomes X-Cross, Elemental, Brave Dragon. Then he would become 01, where he's 02, Metal Cluster, Shining Hopper, not Shining Hopper, Rising Hopper, and then become Geo. I know you're thinking, but isn't Geo from a previous round of 5 riders? Yes, but keep in mind, in Bokenger vs. Super Sentai, they did a similar thing where Aka Red becomes Maji Red, Deca Red, Abba Red, Hurricane Red, and then Gao Red. so it's like, yeah, Gotchard would set it to a 6-season thing instead of a 5-season thing, but he doesn't need to turn into Boken Red because Boken Red is like right there. Plus, you got the evil version of what's her name, Toxica, like the Japanese version of Toxica. Yeah, so you got that. And so like it's fine, But again, one thing I really can't stand about this is, first of all, why is Kaguya bathing in the middle of a room in a bunch of jewelry, drinking wine? Because even in Geki Ranger, like when we had that Christmas episode, all the adult characters were drinking champagne while Natsumi was drinking orange juice, and so was the white kid from North Korea. But that's neither here or there. Yeah, we do have a quick comic relief scene with Rene and Butler, and yes, we have, and yeah, we do have a scene at the end where like they're eating cake, and I don't really want to go too much into the cake thing. My biggest issue is like really with that final fight scene, because one, the overemphasis on 01, that is just there to promote Outsiders, in which case, why not just make Outsiders the main series? Kaguya is a more interesting character than Hotaro, so why not just make Legend the main series? You could even combine those two series into a thing. You don't need to make two separate TTFC specials and then just combine them by using the sacrificial bad season as a cross, like as to bridge them together. You could have just written them from scratch. And also, I hate how, as decent as this 4-part episode is, and I do consider a 4-part episode, not a 3-part episode, because that first episode 32, where Clotho and Hotaro were trapped together, and they had to have that Loax and Maya situation thing going on, like that has to count as part 1, because one, we do see Butler at the beginning of the episode, and the Handred Empire are directly involved as the main villains in that episode, so it does count as a 4-parter. My issue is you start this whole arc after episode 37. You have that 2-parter with the old village, then the 2-parter with Shakespeare, and then out of nowhere you just completely interrupt the entire story arc with the whole Atropos being mad at Rene for killing Grayon, and Gigas showing up all of a sudden. By the way, I'm glad I finally remembered Gigas' name, because that means at least he left the mildest of impact, unlike that one dude from Tiga, where I still don't remember his name. Heck, even when I try to do this redo of this review, I could have spent that 30-minute breathing time to refresh and redo this, to look up that dude's name, Nakitake or something like that. I could have went to the Ultraman wiki just to like review his name so I could go into this rant one more time, but I didn't, because he did not leave that big of an impact. Gigas also did not leave enough of an impact for me to even try to remember his name. I just remembered it earlier today out of happenstance, completely by accident. And part of the problem is because they introduce him only to suddenly forget about him, just to have this whole 4-episode filler arc that doesn't go anywhere, only to reintroduce him at the end of the episode, and then just, we're going to continue the plot of his original intention. Here's what we could have done instead. Just to make some breathing room after defeating Grayon, the whole Kamen Rider Legend 4-parter, yes, the whole 4-parter, could have been episodes 28 through 32. No, 28 through 31. You remove anything involving Clotho or Atropos or Gigist. Just focus on the Kamen Rider Legend stuff. It's sort of like a filler arc where like you could take a quick breath of fresh air before you go back to the main story without interrupting anything, without breaking the flow of an existing story. Then you start with a fresh new arc by doing the the Karama Village two-parter at episodes 32 and 33, then the Shakespeare episode at 33 and 34. And yes, there would be an issue of, oh, we just missed Shakespeare Day, because or oh, we just missed the solar eclipse. Like, heck, you could even incorporate a solar eclipse into the Gotchard, no, not the Gotchard, the Legend Rider multi-parter episode. Because remember, you had Dark Kiva. He had that Moonbreak finishing move. You could have tied that to the solar eclipse in like that happened a few weeks ago, but you didn't. Instead, you start a brand new arc and then you interrupt it for no reason, and you have this break that doesn't make any sense to have, completely disrupts the momentum of the story. And for what? Just to promote two different TTFC specials that are far superior than your main series. And again, because this is a season that focuses on alchemy, that really bothers me. And even in this final part, like where like they could have done it slightly better by not just having Geo and and 01 have that tri formation thing. They should have also done it for Saber, Revice, and Geats, because if you want to honor the legacy of the story so far, honor the entire legacy, not just that one part that is the most profitable. Besides, haven't you forgotten that Geats is also super profitable? Because Geats is the best season they've made since 01, and it's one of the few seasons that is available on Blu-ray right now on Shout Factory. You can watch it right now on Tubi. You can watch it right now on Pluto. You can watch it right now on Plex for no reason. But the point is, like, if you want a channel that's more familiar, you got Tubi or the Shout Factory website. And again, you have the Blu-ray. So there's no point in excluding Geats from this. And if you're going to include Geats, you may as well. I do appreciate that in the theme song, they incorporate the final forms of some of the writers. Like we've seen some of the final forms, but not all of the final forms in the theme song, which is kind of weird because they've shown all the base form Kemi cards for all the writers from Heisei to current Reiwa, but they didn't do it for the final forms in this episode. They just showed 4 regular Kemis. That's the best way I could describe it. So when they actually cycle through like the final form ride Kemi cards, they basically stop at Drive. We don't see Ghost Mugen. We don't see Exit Hyper Muteki. We don't see Build Genius or anything. We see the actual cards towards the end of the episode, but we don't see them in the theme song. That's another thing that's weird. Why even do it that way? So they defeat this dude. He's very forgettable. The fight's mostly forgettable. The only thing I liked about it is the design of the amalgam. And then right when they're about to leave, they show that, oh, we got a bunch of new Kemi cards off screen. This world, that's the benefit of going to multiple different dimensions. And of course, Hotaru makes a edible gold cake, which is edible. Like, people are actually eating it without getting sick. So I guess we're getting some character progress. Personally, I'm not a fan of edible gold as an ingredient. It's aesthetic. It has an aesthetic, but to me, sometimes simplicity is better. Do you want better ingredients? Yes. But you have to know how to make food shine with the most basic form before you could like try making bougie or deconstructions of things. Like if you've ever been to an ice cream shop called Wonderlust, they have these really complicated ultra gourmet flavors that I can't possibly try to eat. Maybe they taste good, but I wouldn't know, because aside from dietary restrictions, it's like, I like simple cookies and cream ice cream. I don't need a black sesame cookies and cream ice cream or, whatever. it's too much for me. And to put into simple Gordon Ramsay terms, it's like there's no point in making in there's no point in using Wagyu beef to make a burger if you don't know how to make a basic burger. Like, yeah, you could use Wagyu beef to make a burger, and you could pair it with portobello mushrooms, edible gold leaf, the fanciest aioli you could muster. Maybe add caviar to it for some stupid reason, with applewood smoked thick slices of guanciale. But why, if you can't do the most basic thing? USDA choice ground beef, 70 to 85% fat, seasoned in chili flakes, garlic powder, and black peppercorn. Use butter as the lubricant. Fry it on one side, fry it on the other side. Basic slice of Gouda with two slices of of brioche bun. That's it. That's very basic. It's a very basic burger, but that's all you really need to make a burger. Okay, if you can't make that, you have no business doing things like portobello or truffle, wagyu, guanciale. Like, learn the basics, work your way up, and that's why I'm not a fan of using edible gold as an ingredient. I know I spend a lot of time talking about food, but again, this is why I'm not a fan of gold leaf, because usually when people try to use bougie ingredients like that, it's usually because they're trying to overcharge on their recipe. Either it's not as good as it looks and they're trying to hide it, or they're just over their britches. And maybe you do have like a talented person who makes a decent enough tasting thing that uses those bougie ingredients. But the thing is, you don't start your martial arts experience by knowing how to do a butterfly kick. You must first know how to do an inside crescent kick. Then you learn how to turn. Then you learn how to jump. And then you combine that into a butterfly kick. Yeah, any simpleton could watch a video of a butterfly kick and learn how to do it. But only by learning the most deconstructed basic components of it can you truly master using that technique, and you'll know all of its strengths and all of its weaknesses. So not only will you know when to best use it, but you'll also know how to counter it if someone else uses it. But yeah, and yes, this is me complaining about cake. Welcome to my TED Talk. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, Kaguya leaves for good this time, and on his way out, he sees that Akatsuki Gotchard is in the ringer. And yes, this is a shameless promotion of the summer film. Hint, 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 hint. See, I made that joke twice in the original recording of this episode. I may as well use that joke at least once. It's shameless promotion. I'm too drained to even try. I'm too drained to even try to like criticize that. Watch the summer film at your own risk. I'd rather watch the TTFC special of Deca Ranger versus Tomba Oger, because hot for teacher done right. There, that's another joke that I'm too tired to do again. But there you go. I did it again. Less enthusiastically, but I did it. And of course, to Gigas shows up to do his thing. He reviews the battle, and he's like, hey, there's a Digi-Egg inside of Hotaro. This will clearly somehow be involved in him getting his final form. At this point, I'm tapped out. Gotchard is one of the worst seasons of Kamen Rider I've ever seen. Every generation has a Kamen Rider ghost, and this generation's Kamen Rider ghost is you, Gotchard. Like, you could have been great. could have been great. But instead, your companion TTFC specials are better. Why? Why? And again, like we're gonna continue this plot. Gits is gonna be on the roll. And again, why couldn't we have done this with the earlier episode when Gits first shows up? Yeah, we could have altered how Clotho gets her super powered form, but the point is, why do we stagnate an arc in the middle of the arc just to do this? And I'll say it again, when what's it called? When King Oger did this with Kyoruger, did it seem like an interruption of the main plot? A little bit. But the thing is, it was done with purpose, not a cross promotional purpose, but with plot related purpose. Because the reason they ended up in Japan was because Dagdead put them there. They had to learn something important that they ended up utilizing it when they came back home to Chikyu. And even when they came back to Chikyu, they found things were radically changed, because what felt like a couple of days for them was 6 months for everyone else, because time is relative. There is plot related consequences for this arc to occur. Here, you could have skipped these 4 episodes and wouldn't miss a damn thing. Maybe you might have missed, why does Clotho have this new look? Okay, maybe. But other than that one detail, you wouldn't have missed a goddamn thing. And despite that, I still would rather follow a story behind Legend than following a story behind Gotchard. Legend feels more like an anniversary season. I'm just tired. I gave this episode an 8 out of 10. When I did the original recording, I'm sticking to that rating because I don't think I have the energy to give it a higher or lower score. Even if I found something new to like evaluate about this, I think most, if not all, the points I already made in the original recording of this video were already addressed here. Maybe I'd address them differently the second time around. Maybe they were better the first time. I don't know, but I've lost my ability to care, and I've never been more happy for Toei to announce the next season of Kamen Rider, which is Kamen Rider Gabu, spelled Gavv. You know, previously, when they would announce the next Kamen Rider series, I would be a little bit sad because I was enjoying the current season so much. That seeing the trademark meant that it's coming to an end, and I don't want it to come to an end. That was the case with 01. It kind of was the case with Saber ish. It was at a point where it's like Saber was kind of sinusoidal, not gonna lie. But if it was on a high note, I probably would have been upset. Revice, I was indifferent. Geats, definitely upset because Geats was a damn good season. But here at Gotchard, I couldn't be happier that they announced the next new season, because instead of saying, oh no, the season's gonna end soon, I'm like, oh, thank God the season's gonna end soon. I can't imagine how Gabu could be any worse than Gotchard. Sorry, I cannot imagine how Gabu could be any worse than Gotchard. And again, Dawn Brothers was good. Geats was good. King Oger was good. Boom Boomger, surprisingly, is good. We're being surrounded from 4 different angles of seasons of 2 shows that are much better than Gotchard. And I don't know if watching Gabu will make me relieved that we have a better season, or if it's going to be making me more upset that we have this interruption between 2 good seasons, and in between we have this awful season. I used to think the season was mid. I thought it was boring. But now I outright hate this season because of all the bad directions they're making. Let me know what you guys thought of this. Ugh. Okay, take two, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I know. I am low-key sad we didn't hear Kabuto's weekly tirade the first time around. They are sometimes the highlight of my week. I appreciate that you're getting your enjoyment out of me losing my mind, but also I hate the fact that I'm losing my mind. I sent out my question from take one. What is the deal with Kamen Rider Zane episode? There's no payoff for exactly. Why is Zane even here? Why is Zane even here? And as I said earlier, like you could have just combined Zane and Legend into one proper season. Make it the main series. You have a Decade Part 3 because Geo's Part 2, where the main character is going through these different worlds and is to fight all these evil riders that conglomerated into this larger organization and stuff. And he has to solve the mystery of who is this evil, heroic rider who is Zane. And like Zane would be his main rival. That would have been so much more interesting than just separating them as two separate TTFC specials that have no impact on the main series, and when they finally do show up in the main series for no reason whatsoever, they also have no impact on the story in either direction. This 4-part episode is both the best and worst part of Gotchard so far. I have to agree with you because, again, why not just make Legendary the main series? And also, what does this 4-parter have anything to do with the main story? They may as well have made Outsiders the main series or made Legend the main series or do something that's both. Exactly! That's my point. Also gets interrupted the singing meteor Kemi at space. Yeah. God, I can't wait for Gabu to finally come out. I agree with you 100%. Just please put Gotchard to an end already. I'm so damn tired. Still can't stop laughing at the disrespect on guys. Like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention in his Geo form, in his Grand Geo form, he can summon other riders like Blade and summon weapons of other riders. And yeah, he summons the flags from Kachidoki arms, and he's like, nope, wrong thing. And then he replaces it with Sonic Arrow. Honestly, I hate that he dissed the flags because one, Kachidoki flags were really cool when they first appeared in Kamen Rider Gaim, and they are uniquely Gaim. The Sonic Arrow, like, it's not a uniquely Gaim thing because Duke, Sigurd, Malika, and Shin Zangetsu all used Sonic Arrow, as well as some of the Gaim Gaiden characters. So yeah, it's not a uniquely Gaim thing, and it kind of makes it boring because of it. Um, also, I would have really liked going back to Gaim. I would have really liked it if Baron had a Malika energy form because Paradise Lost. And have what's his name, Ryugen, use the Shin Melon form. Just make it interesting. I know, right? I'm so tired of Gotcha already. I know. How will they get the egg out of him? I don't care, but the final card had better be level 0 Philosopher's Stone because 0 makes more sense than Infinity in terms of marketing. And again, Philosopher's Stone, Alchemy. Come on, guys. Don't ruin this for me. And every time Kabuto comes up with a better version of how Gotchard could have went, Gotchard's so consistently lame that I'm even getting tired of Kabuto fixing it all the time. May as well scrap the season altogether and just let Kabuto just make a better season altogether. Yeah, but here's the problem. I'm not in Japan right now. And it's very unlikely they would allow a gaijin to become a writer on the show. I know. See, there's this inside joke between me and Steve Wang where he asked me, like, why was I not the executive producer of Kamen Rider Dragon Knight? And my answer to him was simple. I was 16 and in high school at the time, so even if I wanted to be his producer, I would just not be available for it. But believe me, I would have loved to. And he doesn't have Leo or Jared or Steve to for backup. He has to take on this season solo like a real life Kaguya, except this season in itself is the real Android Empire. You know, I can tell if you meant that as a compliment or as an insult, but you're not wrong. Like I do wish that Jared, Leo, or Steve were here to help me out with this because I'm dying here, but you're not wrong. Like the writing staff for Gotchard may as well be the Handred Empire because the season's so bad and I have to deal with it. And you know how bad and you know the writing is bad when I didn't even mention even once the fact that there's like a doomsday clock in this episode. And I didn't even mention it until 35 minutes into the review. And I don't even remember how they even took care of that because I couldn't be bothered to care. It's that bad. Here comes the red. Yeah, here he comes. Yeah, they reveal him out of the suit from the poster. He has a cool eye patch. Yeah, yeah, Hotar does have an eye patch. I don't know why. Zoro lost his eye. No one knows how. Captain Marvelous, I think we saw how he lost his eye. Did he get his eye back? Was he pretending to have lost his eye? I need to rewatch Gokaiger 10. But damn, does Otoya, no, not Otoya, Ryota Ozawa, boy, does Ryota Ozawa look fantastic with an eye patch. Just saying. It just feels and looks natural. Kind of reminds me of Captain Harlock. But it is what it is. Thank you guys so much for watching for the second time my discussion on Kamen Rider Gotchard episode 35. Gorgeous time! Legend never ends! But the legend's over. I'm sorry, guys. The legend's over. They should have just made Legend a recurring character, if not the main character. Why bring him in if you're going to get rid of him just as quickly? But if you enjoyed me talking about this episode again, because I am committed, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Think the bell icon, say notify for our latest videos, and please be sure to share it to your friends and family and coworkers who may be interested in watching this because it helps us out with the algorithms. Here on the Morphin Network, we do we do Ultraman Rube on Mondays, Kamen Rider Gotchard on Wednesdays, Bakuage Sentai Boom Boomger on Thursdays, and Kamen Rider Kiva on Sundays. And yeah, Sundays we do older seasons. We're really close to finishing Kiva. We only have like 3 more clusters of episodes left to do before we move on to our next Kamen Rider season. Yeah, and we just finished Kamen Rider. We just finished Ultraman Tiga. I don't know why I almost said Kamen Rider Tiga. I blame this on Gotchard. Onori Gachado. We just finished Tiga. You can watch it in its entirety. And we're moving on to Rube. Also check out our sister channel, The Buttery Show, where we do movie reviews, video game news, etc. It's Shrek month, so we just did Shrek 1 and 2 in honor of Shrek 2's 20th anniversary, which is May 15th or 19th, depending on whether you're doing the Cannes release or if you're doing the national release date. 15th or the 19th, May 2004 was the release date of Shrek 2, so we're doing the 4 Shrek movies in its honor. If you missed our first 2 Shrek films, be sure to check them out on The Buttery Show, and we're going to do Shrek 3 and 4 in subsequent Tuesdays. And if you want to check out my personal content, you can find me on Instagram at Boken_Kabuto and on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. With all that said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching my redo of Kamen Rider Gotchard. Surprisingly, it took up the same amount of time as the original version. What can I say? This episode is just indicative of how bad the season is, even if I enjoyed watching the episode itself. But, you know, we still have about 15-ish more episodes to go, so we're in for the long haul for another 4 months. And stay safe, stay hydrated, update your emergency kits, hug your loved ones. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.